What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to G-Ball Vision. Today I have for you guys another exciting unboxing to dig into. Before we get started, double check and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I would love to have you here. And before you head out, hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it, everybody. So we have something coming in from White Mountain Knives here. I'm going to have to just pull it away from the screen just for a moment. There's only one way into this guy, and it is through the top. So this is a knife that looks extremely awesome. So you'll be able to kind of tell what this is. This is a White Mountain Knives exclusive, and this is going to be the Growler, and this will be, I think, the version 3, I think they're calling it. You get a sticker, you get a massive microfiber cloth, which is awesome. Let's slide that out of the way, and then we have some nice packaging here, and this one is going to be the carbon, and you get another cloth. Holy smokes. So this will be the carbon fiber version with the blue accents. And these look extremely beautiful. Love the carbon fiber. So the original version, the version 1, I believe was made by Sofirn, which I have a version 1. I actually had 2 or 3 of them. And I still have one. Very well made. But not quite as well made as they could have been, right? So Kevin and Colin, the guys who make up Divo Knives, they decided to go with, I think, a way better OEM. And I believe Kubey is going to be the OEM for the Growler from now on, as far as non-USA made versions go. So this one was really attractive to me, guys. We have carbon fiber. We have a nice little back spacer there. We do have internal milling. We have a wire deep carry pocket clip here, and it will be reversible. And my guess is Lynch Northwest, Rips Garage, and anyone else that makes, you know, a pocket clip aftermarket within that spec is going to fit this guy. Most commonly, Lynch and Rips Garage Tech are kind of the 2 bigger ones. MXG Gear also should have something that fits that maybe. So we have a beautiful satin finished, and I think this is going to be, it is 154 cm on this guy. And the original version came in 14C 28N, which, you know, I do prefer these days 14C 28N. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said 154 all day long. But 14C, 154, they are both very adequate steels, especially when we're talking about knives that come in under that $100 price point, which this knife does. Now, if you are seeing this video, these are no longer in stock. They will be back, though, and, you know, it's something, the way Divo has been going, the last couple of drops, if you are not on top of it, they are going to be gone very quickly. I want to say this drop was sold out. All of them were sold out within, you know, a matter of a few hours. There's been drops where they've been sold out in a matter of a few minutes. So if this is something that interests you, you are definitely going to want to follow Kevin, follow Colin, follow Divo Knives, and, you know, kind of stay in touch with Divo Knives to find out when the next drop will be on these guys. Now, they did have a couple different versions of this come out for the version 3. I believe it's version 3 because they had the V1, then they did, or they're calling it the 2.5 maybe? Is that what it is? Oh, okay, so they're just sticking with V2. Okay, so it's basically just a run on from the version 2s. I could have swore they were calling it something else, but I could be wrong. And this isn't something I typically go for as far as this blade shape, but The version 1 growler, which we can bring out here momentarily, is just an outstanding cutting, poking machine. Because of that tall blade, you just come down. It comes down very thin. You have a ton of belly here, and that's what I was getting at. Typically not something that I go for as far as this blade shape. The handle material and, you know, that look is awesome, but typically I don't go for blade shapes quite like this. But there's something to be said for, you know, trying things out of your comfort zone, and then you find out sometimes, yeah, maybe you still don't like it and it's not a huge loss, but sometimes you find out that you really like it and actually love it. And in the case of the growler, you know, they weren't the initial drop of the version 1s. They were not very expensive. They came in 14C and micarta, and they were coming from Sativian, so they were pretty inexpensive. So it was worth just giving a shot, giving it a try, plus supporting a couple of the most awesome people in the knife world. I had no problem doing it. And then I found out in the process that I actually love the knife. This is going to carry very well, nice and deep in the pocket. Wire pocket clips are great for a utilitarian aspect. It's going to work very well. It's going to feel good in the hand. You're typically not going to have much issue with feeling that wire pocket clip in hand. The other thing is, with this knife, on top of it being nice and pokey, nice and slicey, because of that taller blade, the way that this is designed, it is just extremely comfortable, guys. Whether you're in the normal grip here or whether you choke up, that is the money shot right there. I mean, you can get right up on that edge if you need a lot of control or you need to be very precise. You can get right up on that tip. Now, because of the elongated belly, you know, if you do have some precision work, you will have to come up a little bit higher, right? But not the end of the world, and definitely possible to do. Not a big deal at all. Plus, if this is done right, you know, you can really use that belly as well as the tip to get that precise work done if need be. That satin finish, let's wipe it off one more time and really take a look at that. Kubey does a very good job on their OEM work, and they do a fantastic job on their regular line of knives as well, but very well finished from Kubey. I love that they ran the Gimping all the way up the spine of the blade. This is, you know, what I want to see in all knives pretty much. If it can be done, and, you know, maybe not the whole length, but, you know, a lot of companies will give us a finger choil and then the Gimping stops here. It's like, well, my thumb is up here. So I'm in the position I need the most control, right? Which would be this one. I need the most control here. The Gimping is back here for a standard grip. So, you know, I failed to see where that makes a ton of sense. So I'm hoping that someday here, and there's more knives, you know, starting to do this, or more designers, more companies are starting to run that Gimping most of the way up the spine, but we have a long way to go until, you know, that's very commonplace. But it doesn't do anything to the aesthetic, in my opinion. If anything, especially with this knife in particular, I think it looks awesome. I don't think it changes it one way or the other. I just think it goes with the knife. And it makes it even more utility driven because you're going to have a ton of control with that nice Gimping. It's nice and fine. I just love to see it, and I think that is very well executed. So why don't we see what kind of edge came on this guy. And this is some very thin telephone book paper, so if it can cut this cleanly and well, typically that means it has a pretty good edge on it, because I have knives that are actually fairly sharp that sometimes struggle with this very thin telephone book paper, and this is not having any trouble at all. Very, very nice. While we're at it, we can check it up against some cardboard as well. So we just have a nice thick piece of 2-ply here. So this, you know, this should show us what kind of edge we're really working with here. And it's still looking mighty, mighty good. That is all against the grain there. Nice and slicey. You know, and I don't need, you know, for the people who are saying, you know, that may or, you know, be thinking, you know, Kev's a content creator and, you know, I'm just saying nice things or whatever because he's a content creator. That is farthest thing from, you know, what is my intention. If this knife sucked, I would say so. I wouldn't say that it sucks. I don't typically say that about even a sucky knife. Typically, I give criticisms and ways that they can improve upon the knife. There's always a place for a knife, even if it's not made that well or if there's issues. With the right corrections, that knife can be a very good knife, right? And that's typically what I like to do is, even if I'm not a big fan of a knife, you know, I like to give constructive criticism, right? I'm not a huge fan of just bashing a knife or a company just to bash them. You know, everyone makes mistakes. There's always going to be, you know, some things that slip through the cracks. And that's why I like to give constructive criticism. And I like to be very realistic and open-minded when it comes to knives. I love them that much that, you know, I think there's a place for all of them. And there's always room to grow. So, you know, and I don't need to, you know, praise this knife for no reason. These knives are sold out and they have had no trouble selling these knives out. Not just the growlers, but the stouts and the mashes and you just name it. The pony stouts, every single design that they have done is pretty much sold out at this point. Most of them go pretty quickly. So there's no reason for me to, you know, just make up things to try to sell a knife. You know, that's not going to happen. But getting back to the actual knife and the design here, there's not one thing I would change. We have good access to the liner there. We have some nice fine jimping on that liner. The detent on this is nicely tuned. The cutout is nice. I like that. You can thumb and reverse flick this guy. We have a nice big choke up spot. We have a nice tall slicey blade. Still going to have some semblance of a pokey tip there. I love that little swedge going to the tip. Love the jimping, ran up the spine. Just very well executed. The only thing I guess I could say is I want mine seeing, I'm guessing that's aluminum there. And that is aluminum on the pivot collar there. I want mine seeing, which you guys know I always say if it's not there. But I would love to see, maybe not the full length, but I would love to see like a 3/4 length backspacer on this knife. Man, would that just really, really do it for me on this guy. Nice and centered. But that would just only add to the comfort of this knife. You know, if we had a 3/4 length backspacer there, especially keeping it aluminum, that would not add much weight at all to this guy. But I think that would be a huge improvement in my opinion. You know, not that that's just my opinion and my preferences, right? It's extremely comfortable as is, but I just think it would add, you know, it would be a little bit more rigid, and I think it would be a little bit more comfortable. And I say that about literally every single knife that comes, you know, onto the table. If it don't have, you know, a decent backspacer, I prefer that. As far as the pocket clip, I can change it if I want to. Typically, Depending on what I'm going to do with the knife, I will keep it this way if I plan on it being a user, you know, like a day-to-day work knife, day-to-day user. If I want to turn this into more of like a gentleman's, you know, nicey nice carry, I might put a milled clip on there, but I'm not sure what I'll do with this guy yet. I might turn this into... I might turn this into like a gent knife or a nicey nice carry and move my Growler V1 to kind of a beater. But yeah, if you missed out on these, I feel bad for you if you don't have a V2. The V1s were great, but the V2s just, you know, and the V1s had their issues, but the V2s, guys, they are just smoking good. The carbon fiber, the fit and finish, the finish on the blade, just, you can tell they really refined these version 2s. I guess if I wanted to get real nitpicky, I guess I would say I wouldn't mind seeing a chamfer along with the jimping. The jimping is nice in this case. It's nice and fine, and it's not bothersome like some liners are that have just jimping. I wouldn't mind seeing a chamfer here along with the jimping. So between that and the backspacer, I would say those are the two things that I would add. You know, maybe they do another run of these. I would add a chamfer and the jimping, keep the jimping, add the chamfer, and then give us a longer backspacer. And I would say, you know, that is a fairly complete design, or a well-completed design. And I wouldn't mind seeing some other locking mechanisms go into this knife. How awesome would this knife be if it was a crossbar lock? Man, whew, that would be sweet. An adjustable crossbar lock, maybe a button lock. I know Kev hates both of those, but you're gonna have to suck it up, Kev. Give us a crossbar lock, baby. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this guy down in the comments. Love hearing from you guys. Great knife, great design, Kev, Colin, Divo. Another home run from those guys, and it's great to see how far they have come so quickly. Just unreal how quick they have grown and what they've been able to accomplish so early on. You know, it hasn't been that long, and they've put out a ton of models and sometimes version 2s and 3s of models. So they're just absolutely killing it. So great job, Kev, Colin, mainly Colin, but great job. And I'm excited to see what Divo Knives has for us in 2024, the rest of 2024. That'll wrap it up, guys. Double check and make sure you are subscribed to the channel and hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it, everyone. Otherwise, guys, that'll wrap it up for the Divo Growler. I will catch you on the next one.